Bruno Kay-Mouat, welcome to CamTalks.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you for coming into this morning. What a nice random opportunity since you've come to Alderney. What brings you here? Obviously, you're based in Guernsey these days.
Yep. No, I've got a few meetings to go to today, and we're going to go and have a look around a few things. And I thought I was passing, so I thought I'd drop in and say hello.
Well, you didn't think you'd be doing this, did you?
No, definitely not.
I love this. I love the impromptuness of it. But you are a very, very busy boy. Every time I see you, you're either riding a forklift, dealing with some customers in the most elegant way possible, or having fun with your team. I mean, you have an incredible workforce at Channel Seaways, and I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of them. What is it about shipping and work and business? I mean, how do you get so good, such good people working for you, and they really don't have a bad thing to say about you?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. They just haven't said it to you. So, but no, I've got a great team. We're really lucky. Sometimes I want to murder them. Sometimes they want to murder me. But generally, we get on and we try and get things sorted out and done.
Because Channel Seaways is an incredibly busy company. You do Poole, Guernsey, Alderney, Jersey. You ship how much cargo do you ship every year, I guess?
I think we average about 60,000 tons of cargo a year. But we're a group of companies, so we're Alderney Shipping as well, which operates a service between Guernsey and Alderney. We're Allied Coasters, which acts as ships agents for dry cargo, wet cargo, cruise ships, super yachts. We have Waste Not that involved with recycling, and yeah.
I think I've seen, so you also have the escorts, right? The people on the motorbikes.
Yes, we have male escorts, and we now have we now have a female escort rider as well. So
Wow.
the oversized vehicles in Guernsey. So we do that.
This is like a heavy logistics program. I mean, how the hell did you learn how to do all this?
Well, my father was involved with Alderney Shipping in the early days. He was a lawyer, and he basically was, like I said, started Alderney Shipping, or was involved at the beginning. I was too stupid to become a lawyer, so I went into shipping.
Wow. And how the hell do you learn how to ship? I mean, do you go to like a shipping school?
A shipping school, well, of sorts. I went to Liverpool Polytechnic, studied maritime studies. I had a genuine interest in the sea. As such, I haven't been to sea, but I go on vessels regularly, and I'm interested in it. I'm a bit of an anorak. My wife thinks I've got too much interest in containers and the like, but that's me.
Well, I have to admit, I did just speak to your wife. I thought, well, who better to ask about Bruno's life than his wife, Jeanette, who was very happy to talk to me. I think she was very excited to tell me about your interest in gardening and potentially your novel ways of getting potatoes out the ground.
I'm somewhat adverse to digging by hand. I just find it doesn't do. I've got a brother-in-law who loves digging. He's Welsh, but he likes digging holes, and I'm neither. So I'm not Welsh, and I don't like digging holes. So for some reason, she seems to think it's unusual to dig potatoes with a digger. My French nephew, he thought it was a great idea. So we collected our potatoes with a digger, and it worked well. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, this kind of creative approach to gardening, it can be seen across the whole fleet. Like first of all, your approach to social media, I have to say, for somebody of your generation, is absolutely brilliant. Your authenticity, you've really understood this social media game. I mean, every post that Channel Seaways is putting out is so real, and it's about documenting the moment. Who told you how to do this?
No, I think you're misled there. I think my input in the company's social media, my input is very limited. We have a lady in the office called Sarah who's exceptionally good, and I supply odd bits of information, but she's the guru of social media.
It's brilliant.
I am a dinosaur, and I accept it.
Well, I appreciate that, but you've also been very happy to bring in people who know what they're doing and let them do what they do, right?
Yeah,
it's amazing. Not a lot of people would be that happy to let go of the reins of their company brand.
I think you've got to. I think if there are people that can obviously do your job better than yourself, just generally, so let them flourish.
And where do you find these kind of people? Or like, more importantly, how do you know if someone's going to be a good employee? What's your sort of rules in your mind?
It used to be we at interview we'd ask them if they smoked or drank, and I was told if they deny both, they're lying. But since then, we have an HR department, which is my wife generally, and she does most of the interviewing because I've been sidelined from interviewing people. So so yeah, we generally get it right, and the good ones stay.
And what's it like working in partnership with your wife, your best friend? I believe you met when you were 18. Is that right?
Yes, we did. We met at Liverpool and went our separate ways, and then we sort of reunited a number of years later. Yeah, it has its moments. I'm sure she'll tell you that. I think I'm obviously a great person to work with. She's sometimes has to convince me differently, but yeah.
I mean, she told me many great things about you, Bruno. Like, she's such a lovely person as well. And she obviously mentioned that you were born in France. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, my mother was French, and she we went. Well, she went to France to to give birth to me, and then brought me back with my father to Alderney.
Wow. And what was it like growing up in Alderney then?
Um, I went to school. Well, I grew up in Alderney till I was basically till I was 9, and then I went to boarding school in Jersey from 9 till 18. So it was just holiday time in Alderney. It was it's a nice place. It still is a nice place. So I love the island. I think as most people know.
Did you get up to some fun as a young man? What was your favorite things to do on growing up?
Um, I had an unhealthy interest in French bangers, fireworks when I was younger. Um, in the summer, I loved fishing. I had a little boat. We used to have some pots. Um, yeah, just outward life, outdoor life.
An adventurous life.
Yeah, yeah. I had my father was he was a very keen rower. He always took us out in his boat. Um, so yeah, it was an outdoors. Yes, I'd say so.
What was your father like growing up? Because he's got quite I mean, it's a myth these days, but it's quite a legend. Tell me about your dad.
He was a strong character. Outwardly, he was. I would say, as a family man, he was reasonably. He wasn't particularly. He wasn't particularly sociable. He was happy with his own company and that of the family. He was very private, but he had he had strong convictions for certain things. So but I thought he was a great father.
Amazing. I mean, I always tell people like, I get a lot of my traits from my own dad, and my mum, of course. I think you're always a product of both of them. But I mean, do you find that are you becoming your father at your age now?
Oh, totally, totally. I'm reasonably impatient. When I want something doing, I want it doing yesterday. I hate people putting things off and saying, "Oh, I'll do it later or tomorrow," or "Hang on." You know, if, tomorrow's got other jobs to be done, so let's do them today. The ones that can be done today.
I know that firsthand because I've seen you operating forklifts when when someone else isn't around. You're like, right, come on then, high vis hat, let's go. And it really is. It's like an ethics that I don't think a lot of people have drilled into them. But you have been working from such a very young age, right? I mean, what do you remember your first experience sort of being in charge of something very, very important? Because I imagine there's a lot of pressure involved with all these moving bits.
Um, I mean, I went to Polytechnic till I was sort of 22, so I didn't start working in the working environment that early, but from from a reasonable early stage of my career, I was sort of in charge, I'd say. I was the boss's son, and I had a degree in the subject, so I progressed reasonably fast. And then I was quite happy with taking authority. Um, and as you say, I like to see things done. I mean, you say you've learned firsthand. Yeah, I know because I've been chasing you for certain things.
Absolutely.
But we're getting there, so which is great.
Yeah. I mean, the pressure though, I can't imagine that you must have a million things in your head at all times. People are wondering where their shipments are and they're chasing you.
Yeah,
And how do you manage all this? Because you seem to be very positive and you approach everything with a real happiness.
I think if you're in logistics and you enjoy it, it's natural to you. You see transport managers in the UK who will be juggling 100 lorries and will know where they almost all are across the UK. Our scope of or geographical scope of trading is a lot smaller. Um, but you've got a gist for it, and you don't see it as being work all the time. So no, it's a way of life,
Mm.
and if you enjoy it,
Well, I've certainly enjoyed being on the Trinity. We have been working on a movie, which we will absolutely deliver at some point in the
good.
future.
Glad to hear it.
Because what I love is that the crew as well, the crew on board are so. I mean, they're so well taken care of in the sense that they have their own kind of quarters, and the chef on board is just I mean, I have to admit, like one of the best moments on the Trinity. I didn't actually film because I was too in awe of what was going on. It was about 6 a.m. in the morning. We'd been going from Poole to Alderney,
Right.
and the sun was rising, and the chef had just knocked on my cabin and said, "I got some food for you." And I took it up into is it called a crow's nest, or like the bit on the top?
Oh, the top deck.
The
Yeah.
top deck.
Yeah.
I took this lovely plate of just, sausages and eggs up to the top deck, and it was the calmest sea I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
And we're approaching Alderney, and I had my camera next to me. I thought, I just have to enjoy this. This is just,
Excellent.
it's absolutely divine. But don't worry, there's plenty of other good stuff.
You get better treatment than me on that ship.
I think I do.
Yeah.
Well, anyone with a
Well,
camera running
Well,
around.
you're the celebrity, so that's why it's good.
Well, no, I really appreciate your help as well, because obviously, as you're very well aware, transportation to get to Alderney is very expensive, and so to be able to smuggle me to the UK on times it's just been wonderful, and it's the only way that I can operate myself on Alderney, and obviously get back to the UK.
Excellent.
But tell me, because as we were coming out of Poole, I noticed there was so many cargo ships floating around the English Channel. And this must be one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world.
It is, yes. The English Channel is the busiest shipping lane in the world.
And how big is your fleet compared to some of them?
We're tiddlers, as we spoke earlier, you've got an evergreen vessel that can be going past with anything between 12 and 18,000 containers, and we carry 120. So that gives you an idea. But then we went up to the Isle of Man 2 years ago, and we saw one of our previous ships, and that carried 12 containers. So, we have grown from our humble beginnings.
Wow.
But we're still humble in the shipping world.
Well, you're very humble, man. The Evergreen is the world's largest ship, is it not? Or I think
I think Maersk have now are now bigger.
Oh, there's someone's outdone them.
Oh yeah, they get bigger on almost a daily basis, it seems.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, that wouldn't fit in Alderney Harbour, would it?
No, and if it did come in, you would bring all the shipments for the next 10 years or so.
It's insane, the size of it. How do ships like this actually, like, where do they go? Are they
Deep sea ports, so they'll be going from the Far East. If they're coming into Europe, they'll be going to places like Southampton, Hamburg, the big ports.
Wow. And those are considerably bigger than the operations in the Channel Islands, I imagine.
Totally, yes.
Yeah, because in Guernsey and Jersey, when I've seen, in fact, sometimes in Jersey, I'm like, oh God, the Trinity looks a little bit smaller compared to some of the boats there.
Yeah.
But I imagine that you've sort of grown up seeing the docks evolving and everything evolving. I mean, what's been the biggest change to shipping that you've seen in your lifetime?
The biggest change I'd say is the fact that we're the longest established shipping company, freight company now. All the others have come and gone, which is so sad. You had Hewlett Renniff, which was 75 years old. You had Condor, which was slightly older than us. These companies no longer exist. So,
Wow. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I'm not totally sure, but they didn't. I think the main problem is they didn't evolve with the times. And they either overstretched themselves at certain times, or they were taken over.
Because of course, business is never easy, and when there is disruptive technology or there's new ways of doing things, you do have to roll with the times, I
Oh,
guess.
totally. And when times are hard, you have to shrink. You have to bring your costs into check.
What's been some of the hardest times for you? I imagine the pandemic must have been quite hard to navigate.
The pandemic, it was initially hard. The uncertainty. Not knowing whether we'd be able to keep trading because of in effect cash flow. The hardest incident in the last few years that we've had is a cyber attack from a Russian outfit. That affected us heavily.
Wow, a cyber attack. How do you even find out that you've been cyber attacked?
You basically turn on your computers and there's nothing there, and then you get a message saying that that you've been hacked in effect. All your data has been encrypted, and then you get the solution finders to come in and find, to tell you what's happening, and then you learn what's progressing, and it has an operational impact, it has an emotional impact, it has psychological impact. Some people are still affected by it. Yeah, horrible. And then you get ransoms, and whether you pay ransom or don't pay ransoms, and if you do, whether you pay it by cryptocurrency so it can't be traced, and it's a whole industry. Then you're speaking to the regulators, because at a certain point you are deemed to be in breach of data GDPR. But whilst you've been hacked, the fact that
Yeah.
your data has been stolen, that you could be at fault. So the regulator is knocking on your door, and then you find the regulators and the Channel Lines haven't got the experience of these events. So they're asking you, and you're trying to ask them. So it's hard work, but that I think that was the worst thing that's happened to us in recent years.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry, man. I mean, GDPR doesn't seem like such a big deal when all your systems have suddenly
Mm.
collapsed.
No, it's the last thing in the world that you think you're going to be prosecuted for a breach of data.
Wow. And obviously, how long did that take you to resolve that? That must have been, I mean, you'd have to work very quickly, but you don't even know what's going on at this point.
No, and everything, in effect, nothing is electronic. Everything is now manual. So, and your recovery and those of the people around you, of how you're treated, we didn't stop trading, which was something to be said for the staff involved. 18 months down the line, still there's still effects.
Damn. Wow. And look, I know you are of the generation that doesn't quite, use the technology yourself. I mean, you do. I mean, that's a lie. Is it? You definitely use the technology. You just might be a little bit slower to tap on your phone. So who was the secret the secret weapon to Channel Seaways upon the cyber attack? Who really helped you out?
Um, we had Anthony in IT was good. Our what's the name? Our IT support people, were good. Valley Computers. We had insurance. There was a whole team. That it was like something out of the films. We had not webinars. We had Teams conversations. Multiple people on the screen. Some in Amsterdam, some in London, some all over the place. Some in Australia. There was a big team effort, and
Wow.
we had daily catch ups. And then I'm trying to think of the name of the outfit that did hack us. They were well known. That we were told almost as if it was a good thing they were in the top 10. So at least it wasn't some 14-year-old in his bedroom. It was a professional outfit that had hacked
Wow.
us.
Channel Seaways down.
Yes,
Yeah, you could make a movie out of that, couldn't you?
yes.
Well, I mean, you are a very creative person. Have you ever thought about writing any kind of film, books, anything like this?
I thought I'd write a book, and it turned into a 2-page letter, which I sent to somebody, which was a bit dull. So no, I haven't got the patience for writing a book.
Yeah, well, but you do have a very artistic family. Obviously, I know some of your family
Yeah.
on Alderney. How does it feel, kind of knowing that all your family's in the same region? I guess. I mean, do you still hang out as much as you did?
No, no, we're spread out. 2 in France, one's in England, and I'm in the Channel Islands, so we are reasonably spread out. So
And
distance makes the heart grow fonder.
I think it does, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, my sister's a mother now to two beautiful children. I never hear from her. So,
Right. Ideal.
yeah, yeah. She used to be really mean to me, and now she's absolutely lovely. So I feel like I just no, she wasn't really mean. She was just she's a big sister,
Yeah.
And
I've got
then
3 big sisters.
oh my lord, wow, how was that with
I'm
growing
the
up?
baby of the family.
Wow, you are surrounded by quite a matriarchy, aren't you?
Totally. Yes.
Do you think that keeps it all together?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I do as I'm told.
Yeah, I can see that
Did my
actually.
wife tell you that?
She did say that you were very obedient,
Good, good.
but no, I can see why that's a positive. My parents ran a care home for 20 years together, and without that husband wife partnership, I just don't think I don't think any businesses, maybe not at a smallish scale, can work, because you've really got to do all the jobs, and to split it between the person that you love,
Yeah,
and that trust that's there. I can imagine that's quite a unique thing.
yeah.
Well, she told me a few other things. Do you mind if I do you mind if I
You check your notes.
check my notes? Sea swimming, because you're now based in Guernsey.
Yes.
And how long have you been in Guernsey for?
Oh, well, about 30 years, I suppose.
Wow. And what, do you have better sea than Alderney? Is that it?
No, it's where the main part of the business is. So
And how did you first get into the sea swimming? Because I know it's quite popular these days and quite good for you, I hear.
allegedly, yes. At the when you're going in, it doesn't feel like it's good for you at all. It was 26th of May. I know it was then because that's Jeanette's birthday. So luckily, I remember it. And I decided we were going to go swimming, and so we went off swimming, and Jeanette didn't. She bottled out, and I went, and then it sort of caught on from there because peer pressure. So we both went, and then we just progressed it through the summer and just kept going ever since.
Wow. How do you feel after you get out the get-
Amazing,
Yeah, it is good, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely amazing.
I have to say you're looking really good. What's going on right now?
Well, at the moment, it's a diet I'm on, or a lifestyle change, the human being diet, the HBD diet.
And what does that consist of?
Initially, it consists of eating very little. And take it on the first date, it's a bit extreme. Well, the first weekend you eat very, very little, it seems, and then you eat basically protein and vegetables,
Hmm.
and it's a 3-month course, and you lose lots of weight, and you have far too much energy. The offside of it at the moment is I've got too much energy, so I get up too early and want to do things, so off I go and do things, which Jeanette says is not fair on the neighbours, so she sends me to the office if I get up too early at the weekend.
Well, that's where you belong.
Obviously.
Yeah, putting out fires. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, the idea of a modern diet is actually, I mean, I've done a bit of work with med tech companies, in the States where, they've been bringing whole foods and fasting to major medical insurers, to try and help prevent type 2 diabetes
Yep.
and all this stuff. And yeah, it's something so ingrained in our culture that you have your 3 meals a day. You've got to have a mix of all these things in your plate.
Yeah.
And we don't know that it's killing us.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the main thrust of this thing is, you cut out carbohydrates, and you make sure your 3 meals are 5 hours apart. And in between, you only drink water.
Water's gold. It's fantastic. Well, I mean, I can tell you're looking absolutely brilliant. We really need to have you share your secrets on this island because, as you know, we are an aging demographic, and we want people to live as long as possible. And
Be healthy.
and
Yeah.
be healthy. Yeah, just don't eat breakfast. That's
No, you've got to eat breakfast.
you've got to eat breakfast because
Every-
you're always bloody doing things.
No, I didn't used to eat breakfast, but that's the thing. You've got to eat breakfast. You've got to eat your 5 meals. No, 5.
5 meals a day.
Yeah,
and your
tempting.
snacks.
3 meals a day, and no snacking in between.
No snacking. What was your go-to snack? Because as a busy man,
Salt and vinegar crisps.
really,
Yes.
wow, you're
Yeah.
big into the salt and vinegars.
Yes.
Well, you got to be though, because when you're always on your feet and you're always moving around,
Yeah, but I'm not always. I spend a reasonable amount of time in the office.
oh, I've seen your office. You have a standing desk.
I know.
How's that been? That's a bit of a.
I don't. Since I've got it, I don't like sitting down.
Do you know this is actually a standing desk?
Is it?
And yeah, I mean,
Very stylish desk.
well, it's very nice. Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time editing, so
Right.
like and you're absolutely right. When you spend a lot of time sitting down, the moment you actually change that and you start standing up again, you just have such a, I don't know, it feels better. You just feel a bit more healthy. In terms of other exercises, do you do any sports? Do you any exercise? I mean, you're always
No.
working, so
No. Sea swimming. Joe, the boy, he's given me some sort of training thing to do, which I haven't done yet, so I'm in trouble.
Uh-oh.
He's even sent me sort of little podcasts of how I should do doing it, because he sent me a description. Jeanette's doing her exercises as instructed, but I'm not.
I want to take a very quick break to thank Bell & Co for helping to sponsor this episode. If you're looking for a place to live on Alderney, whether it's renting or buying, go and visit Bell & Co. They have all the information about what's available on Alderney and can also help guide you to some of the best things to do on the island. Go and visit bellandcoalderney.com and find out how you can escape to paradise. Back to the episode. Wow, you're a busy man,
Yeah, I should be able to do it, but
Yeah, but I mean, do you ever get downtime? Because I imagine your phone is always on.
yeah. But if you enjoy what you do, you don't need to sit down and think. I mean, I'll quite happily sit on the digger in the garden messing around.
Oh, I can absolutely tell that. What are some of the strangest things that you've ever had to import for people?
Um,
Because I've seen some funky cars coming off that ship, but I imagine there's been all sorts.
we've done funky cars, we've done sort of the rare to the very expensive to the ridiculously expensive. We've done um, animals, we've done anything from goldfish to llamas. Um,
Oh, I saw a horse when I was
oh
on
yeah,
board.
we do horses. We do we all because Alderney has it's the sort of the retreat for retired horses. So we bring those over every so often. During COVID, we did a lot of, I think they were Romanian dogs from various shelters, some of which were particularly unfriendly.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah. Odd things we've shipped. Um, I'm trying to I'm trying to think.
Do you wanna take that? Do you wanna take that call? This is brilliant, by the way. This is incredible content, I have to admit. Do you
No,
wanna take
no,
it?
no, it's fine.
Okay, well, here's the thing, is that Bruno, I know that what you do is so important because we on Alderney rely so much on you getting in with the goods, particularly when you go down to the shops and every week it looks like COVID. Like just before you guys arrive,
Yeah,
the shelves are empty.
yeah.
And then you guys arrive and the supermarket just gets so busy, and again, you start getting a bit like, oh, well, why'd you need all them?
Mm.
You start seeing people because it's such a lifeline for this island. I mean,
Yeah, but
without you, we'd be
yeah, but
stuffed.
it's a group of us. It's not, it's a whole team. There's 60 of us in the gang, so to speak, and everybody plays a part.
You run a very tight ship in company.
Yeah, I'm lucky. We've got a good team. We have our moments between us, outside externally, but generally, everybody has got the same aim.
Mm.
You know,
Keep us going.
yeah,
Keep the islands alive.
yeah, and give people an option. We're the smallest. We are the smallest shipping company in the Channel Islands, but we're now the longest established one. So we must be doing something right.
I think you are. I've seen a lot of internal politics in companies and stuff, and you just have a very modern approach. For somebody who claims to be not of the modern era, you employ a lot of young people. You employ people who are given the responsibility and given their own sort of ability to make decisions. And I don't know. I mean, I'm only saying this because I've met a lot of them, and I've been trying to find out why they don't like you. And
They're scared. They won't say it.
well, you say that, but I met one of your guys who told me that you had very kindly got him. You called up one of your friends, I believe, who was an airline pilot or something, and
Yeah.
you just said, oh yeah, go and speak to that pilot, and he went up and saw the cockpit and all that kind of stuff, and it was just these little moments that you give to your staff,
So we
like.
better plug Captain Ballard of British Airways there.
Absolutely, yes. British Airways, we are looking for sponsorship right now for the podcast. So please, what's his name?
Ballard,
Captain Bala. Where does he fly to?
all over the place.
Right, I'd like to go all over the place, please. But no, it is nice. Like when you treat your employees like family, I think they treat you like family, and they don't want to let you down.
Yeah, well, we all know what families can be like at times.
Yeah,
But no,
yeah,
they are
but
a good bunch.
yeah,
I'm
but
lucky.
this is why I love the Channel Islands because there's so many famous families within the Channel Islands, but it seems like for all of the micro arguments or whatever, it's like when you look at the world
Yeah.
and you start to realize that we actually have a community that really
Oh,
matters.
they are strong communities in the Channel Islands. Yes, that's definite.
Now you're standing for the States of Guernsey. Is it a deputy? Is that
That's
what it's
correct.
called?
Yes.
What made you want to represent the community? And
Um, you get tired of hearing how badly things are happening, and how they can be improved. And if I have a genuine feeling that hopefully if I do get elected and I get onto the committee which I think I could assist with, I can make some positive changes and help sort of orchestrate it with others like-minded. And at the moment, it looks like there's enough like-minded new people that want to be elected, which hopefully will be, that can see changes because we've seen things for the last 4 years could have gone better. I think is a nice way of putting it.
Mm. Well, it's a challenging time, isn't it? I mean, like in terms of transformational technology, AI and stuff, and the globalization is just. I always feel like 20 years ago, it was easier to handle the future, whereas today it's like, well, we don't even know where the future's going. So I want to give a bit of credit to the people before, but I know that the people who are here now are probably the most important generation of politicians that could affect the future, I guess. I mean, do you feel that responsibility for 20 years ahead? I mean, there's a whole generation that needs you.
Yeah, but I think there's things which need to be done straight away. I
Mm,
think it's you can plan for the future 10, 20 years ahead, but the immediate is important too, and you don't want to lose sight of that. You don't want to it's difficult to predict further ahead, so you're better off sorting out some of the today's issues because
mm.
then you have firmer foundations for going forward. AI is advancing so fast that I think it's dangerous to have 20-year plans.
Right. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think you're better off having a 5-year plan with a vision for 20 years, but not necessarily a full plan. And you don't use all those resources because it changes year on year. And there's structural things. There's niceties and there's the necessities. And I think some of the necessities are the actual infrastructure of the islands. You know, whether it's ports, airports, airlines, power supply. That they need to be they need to be attended to today.
Mhm.
I'd say.
Well, I agree with you, and I love the fact because you have the expert knowledge, so you're not going to get anyone trying to pull the wool over your eyes when it comes to the seas, at least. But you have an in-depth knowledge of Guernsey and Alderney and Jersey, which I think is absolutely amazing. You must have friends everywhere, Bruno.
I know a lot of people. I think I know a lot of people, but I think the other thing is it's accepting the fact that you don't know everything. You know, if you don't know, don't give an answer. Ask somebody else who does know. And there's plenty of people out there who will give you advice, and there's plenty of people who can give have knowledge, and there's AI that can give you knowledge.
Right, it's your best friend these days, isn't it? It's
Yeah, as
amazing.
long as your phone works.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about your approach to your campaign because you've always been very authentic and you've just done things that are that are good, and you haven't taken this kind of standard political approach to say your message, into an auto cue or something. You've painted the side of one of your containers.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, I'm actually working. We've got a 5-yearly survey on on the Trinity, so I'm trying to work on that. So I've been working in Hull for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So my campaigning promotional stance is not where it should be, possibly. But then I'm thinking people will get blind to it soon. 3 weeks ahead of the election, people don't want to be hearing it all. There's prospectuses to read, and everybody's promising the same thing: reduce tax, improve tax, build houses, and things like that, which are things which need attending to. Um, I am what I am. It sounds a bit sort of arrogant, possibly, but if you either believe what people can do, if they have to prove it, they have to prove it. So yes, I've had a container painted with Vote Bruno because I've checked. There's nobody else with a Christian name Bruno standing, so I can get away with that. Um, I will be doing obviously some campaigning. I'm meant to be doing another podcast, which
Wow.
which is obviously terrifying, because as is this one. So we'll see. Hopefully that I bought a loud hailer to go on the Land Rover so I could drive around announcing, requesting people to vote for me. But I couldn't get it to work, so I had to return it. So we're back to square one with
Oh,
that.
well, I think people will be thankful for that.
Possibly.
For just driving around Guernsey. Vote Bruno.
Well, yeah. Well, I was even going to sing a tune, but
Ah, I do like your tunes. You have an amazing website. Please don't tell me you've taken down the old sea shanty.
no,
Um,
we're still using the sea shanty and the other song, which I've forgotten what it is. But
it's the most memorable thing. I've done a lot of consultations and branded work for big companies, and everyone's moving in the same direction where it's like we need a real slick website.
yeah.
And on your website, it's like this little ship, and it says press here, and you go press here, and then the ship starts like swimming across the
Oh
screen,
yes, the
and
Captain Pugwash.
and yeah, and the music hits, and you go And I don't know, it's just like, I'm so grateful that that level of authenticity still exists. I imagine a few people have tried to sell you new websites in the
Oh
past.
yeah, I mean, we're in the process of redoing our website. You'll be pleased to hear.
Not at all, man. No, I want you. I want you to focus on the things that matter, which is getting us our groceries.
Obviously, we'll try. We'll try.
I think that's the thing is that the more authentic you can be and give people, more of insight into what you do. I mean, that's why I love your social media. It's every day I will go on Facebook and I see something that you guys have posted, and it could
Yeah,
be anything. You take a picture of, of one of the guys on the ship, and I know them now, so I'm like,
yeah,
oh my god, it's him,
yeah.
and I think that is going to help you. It's going to help you a lot,
Good.
in when you're getting into the actual weeds of politics. Hopefully, you do get elected, because I believe you'd be amazing. I mean, the leadership, the ability to just go, I don't know what the answer is, but I'll find out for you.
Yeah,
That's quite unique in the political landscape. Everyone's got to have an answer.
yeah. But that, very much a believer that if you don't know, you don't know,
Mm.
but you can find out.
But you can find out. Well, like you said, AI has got all of the solutions
Yeah,
apparently for a lot of things. And this is it. Like maybe going forwards, you can't always figure out what problems are going to come ahead, but you can deal with them in a positive way. And I think this is why I'm excited for your. Yeah, I'm very excited for your campaign. I'd love to ask you about all of the promises that you want to make, but as you just said there, you're like, well, we'll deal with the problems as they come.
yeah. I mean, I think a lot of I might again, you have people who have been re-elected or looking for re-election who have a lot of the information to hand, whereas as a newbie, I don't have any of the information that they're privy to. So whilst I might think certain things should be done a different way, I don't have all the facts. But like I said, if I do get in, hopefully I'll have all the facts, and you can actually make a reasoned decision on something, or support something for the right reasons. If for instance, they're saying that housing needs to be addressed, but is housing in the right is it allocated correctly? Do are one bedroom houses, are they being occupied by one person, or are they being occupied by multiples, or multiples, vice versa? So once you ascertain exactly what's needed, then you can address it, and you can address it reasonably quickly. Building a house is not rocket science.
Well, I mean, it is to me, and my generation. These hands are not made for manual labor. At least not me and my mates. We're all laptop people, and but that's what I love about the Channel Islands as well. You've got all these different generations of experience,
Yeah.
and really, like we're in the best place, aren't we?
Oh, totally.
I
Yeah.
mean, you look at the UK and you look at other places in the world, and you go, actually, you go for a sea swim, you know everyone,
Yeah.
what is it that you particularly love about Guernsey? What do you enjoy?
Well, I enjoy. I enjoy the sort of the variety. It sounds a bit ironic. Living on an island 8 by 5, but we live by the beach. I work in town, um, and you have direct access to a variety of people as well. We don't just work with our peers. Whether it's high level civil servants, politicians. You work with all sorts, and with the line of work we do, one minute we might be shipping the bailiff of Jersey's Land Rover over to Alderney. The next minute you might be dealing with someone from Sark. It's all sorts of variety, and that's what makes it interesting.
Mhm.
That we don't have a stereotypical customer.
Well, the customers I've met so far are very, very grateful. Like they really are. And when someone's got a really big load and they need to figure out how to do it, they phone you up, and the way that you communicate with them and figure it all out, it just seems like you do it with such ease. You must have had to calm a lot of your customers who potentially don't think that it's possible.
Yeah, I mean we do have customers who not their own fault necessarily, but overcomplicate a movement issue because from a lot of situations it's moving it from A to B, and it should be treated as simply as that. You know,
And I mean, it's a very complicated. Well, I mean, every port I've been to, you've got Poole, Alderney, Guernsey, Jersey. they all have a different like way of doing things,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I love it. I love on Alderney, like you literally have to get craned onto the ship,
yeah,
because we don't have, what they've got in
the
Guernsey and
gangways. Yeah,
Jersey, the gangways. That's it. It's quite a fun experience, really,
yeah,
for me. Like I think it's quite a lot of fun. But you get to operate across those different levels of sophistication,
yeah.
should we put it? And yeah, I guess that's the nice thing. I don't see the need to. I mean, maybe there is a need to make Alderney's Harbour a little bit more better. I don't know. Is there? I mean, you guys, the way that I won't say their names, but your captains bring that boat in and out. It's so unbelievable to see the Trinity. And by the way, like when we watch it from shore coming in, we just think, I don't know, someone's on a steering wheel or something. But then to see the captain sitting there with a little joystick,
Yeah.
and as a no braining person around shipping, I'm like, oh my god, it's so scary. Particularly when the tides are slightly lower,
Yeah.
and yet it's just done with such
No, they
precision.
are good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So do we need any advanced technology on Alderney, or we're just
There was talk of extending the commercial quay in parallel with the breakwater. At some point that might be that.
because we used to have that, didn't we?
Yeah, the German jetty.
The German, and we got rid of it because it was German, I guess.
It was a steel jetty. It was rusting away. Um, in hindsight, it could have possibly been shuttered and concreted, but it wasn't, and it isn't there. But they have extended the commercial quay. They did that in the late 90s, I think, or
Mm.
2000 possibly. Um, you know, and it serves a purpose. It's good. The harbour office over here are very amenable. They accommodate us, which is great. I think we have good working relationships with most port authorities.
No, there's definitely teamwork,
Mm.
like, and I've seen now being on the ship that, you have to keep hold of all decisions. I mean, particularly the weather. When the weather's bad, I can imagine that your mind is probably racing at some of the challenges.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't get into a port, you have to reschedule whether you sail or not, or whether you go to a different port, change of rotations. But again, we've got a good team who sort of manage this, and we work it out. Obviously, the Tuesday boat into Alderney is bringing the bulk of the food in. So, the primary aim is to get the food into Alderney on Tuesday morning. Um, if it can't, the ship will go on to either Guernsey or Jersey, and will change the rotation slightly. But again, it's one of those operational hazards, the weather.
Because I mean, the channel is actually quite a very rough sea, right? And you got the tides, which are very, very powerful. What's the worst sort of weather you've ever seen in the Channel Islands?
Um, the, w- the worst weather is it's basically for Alderney, it's northeasterly when the port is most exposed. But as the ships have got bigger, they've become less sort of dictated to by the weather. But it's coming into the port, which is the dictating factor.
Mhm.
But
I mean, you see a lot of these videos online of like huge cargo ships and the containers falling off and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, does that happen? I mean, is
it
it
has happened. Yes, we've lost things over the side. We've lost generators. We've lost containers, gas cribs.
wow?
We try
And
not
and and
to.
that's because of bad weather.
Bad weather, lashings failing, which are the securing for the stuff on deck. Um, yeah, we've had touch wood with the Trinity. We've had very little go over the side, but we've somewhere in the Isle of Wight, we've got a container on the beach. Um, so yeah.
Are you superstitious at all? Is there the sailor in you that feels that you have to do certain rituals or anything like that?
Generally not. We have had superstitious captains. You can't mention rabbits, for instance, on certain vessels. So they refer to as bramble congers. We had one master who had to sail with a yellow mug, you know, and had to, and he was 6'4". So he did it. You did as he said, and I questioned him on this. And I said, "What if I broke your mug?" He said, "That's fine. I have a spare one in my cabin." He's that superstitious. Um, Personally, I'm not overly superstitious.
You
Uh,
can't be, can you? You're doing this all the time.
yeah, I mean, I won't tell a master to go to sea. It's their shout. I have once or twice asked them not to go to sea, but I've never told them to go to sea.
Hmm. And do you ever get seasick? Are you good on
Oh,
boats?
I have done in the past. Generally now, again, I don't. I once sat on a rolling coaster and watched the horizon, then the sea, then the horizon through a porthole, whilst watching my plate of fried eggs and bacon traversing the table. That was pushing it, but no, generally I'm all right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can imagine. I mean, I thankfully, every time that you've ever smuggled me, it's always been the best. It's been the summer. It's been nice weather, but I can
Very
imagine
sensible.
very very sensible. Well, of course, I don't think you'd allow me to be on a ship that was not, you know. I mean, I get it. It's a working ship, right? It's not
It's not a cruise ship.
it's not a cruise ship, you
No.
know, and that's why I really like filming this sort of stuff as well, because like you get to interview the guys when they're hard at work, and they work so hard on that ship. And what I find funny is that when you're like sailing, like there's not a lot for them to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's the the either side that they have to do. So you do get to hang out with them and sit and chat and
Yeah.
have a bit of fun, because they are on board for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And I think that would drive anyone crazy unless they had friends around them that
Yeah.
they're all in it with.
Well, they seem to get on well, which is good.
Absolutely. So what are you doing in Alderney at the moment? You've obviously come over here just to do some meetings and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Um, Bit of skiving, obviously.
I love that,
Yeah.
yeah. Because this is the island that you get to just hide away for a little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I've got a little house on the cliffs, the frying pan.
The frying pan. Yeah. So tell me, how did you? I mean, was that being in the family, or is
Yes,
it?
it's been in the family for a number of years. My grandfather owned it originally.
Wow, because that's a brilliant house. I've always
Location is brilliant. I'll
look.
correct you there.
The location's brilliant. The house could do with some work. I've
Yeah.
actually, since I was a kid, I always said I'm going to buy that house in the future.
Right.
So
Okay.
if we're watching this back in the future
Right.
and I've done some shady deals to get you off your land, you'll know it was me.
Okay. Okay.
Because it looks out over Longy and
Yeah.
Raz, and just, I mean, it's just a beautiful
It
spot,
is.
isn't it?
It's the end of the road.
It's the end of the road. And of course, you can see France from here 7 miles away, and
Yeah.
then you can see Guernsey, Jersey, and Sark. And
Yeah.
on a good day, you see the Channel Islands, and I don't know, I get like a sense of pride about it. It
Yeah.
feels super unique, and I
The
don't.
centre of the universe, Alderney, and that's part of it.
It really is, isn't it? Yeah, but I mean, you've taken me to the other Channel Islands. I never went to Jersey before. I've spent a bit of time on Guernsey, but they've all got something different to offer.
Yes.
I mean, what did you like growing up in Jersey? Because that feels a bit more mainland.
Oh yeah, it's very cosmopolitan. It was. It's a lovely island. I think it obviously had a lot more shops, a lot more traffic. It was a bit more sort of exciting. Prep school was a little bit less. You didn't see so much of the island. It was a bit more of a controlled environment. Although it's where Superman went to school.
I know, Henry Cavill, right?
Yeah,
Wow, I think he's the most famous thing to come from the Channel Islands, isn't it?
almost. Yes,
Almost. Not.
almost. The Wombles. What about the Wombles?
Oh, Eliza Bereford. I know, from Alderney. Thank gosh we
Yes,
have an even more infamous person
exactly.
from here. Yeah, I believe that the I think the Superman premiere was actually on Jersey. I think he managed to.
Really?
Yeah, I think he
Oh,
managed to make that happen, which is nice, because
yeah.
actually I think like we do like to help each other. Like, it's a very helpful place. I think if you live close to each other, you feel obliged to help each other.
I mean, community.
It's community, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't get that in London. I mean, I'm going back to London this week to do a bit of real work.
Right. Obviously. Good.
You can't really afford to live on an
No.
island if you don't, go back every so often. And I find myself saying hello to people, and they're looking at me like, "Why are you saying hi to me?"
That's the best thing about if you come from a small community like this. You go onto, for instance, the tube, and you're used to recognizing people. So if you see somebody you think you recognize, because you back home in the islands, you recognize people and you say hello to them. So on the tube, you'll say hello as if because you think you recognize them because you forget you're on the tube with 5 million other people. And it's amazing how they melt. I find they melt really quickly, and they will talk to you. And normally you're told if somebody on the tube speaks to you, they're insane and try and get off at the next stop.
Mhm.
But I find these days people actually talk back to you, and you can fly the flag of the Channel Islands because they think there's something wrong with you because you're talking to them, but then you explain why.
I love that though. I mean, because the Channel Islands does it does have so much relevance. I was actually, just as you were saying about creepy people on the tube, I remember walking around Richmond. I was in like Sainsbury's or something, and I just made this video on Alderney, riding around the island on a skateboard,
Yeah,
and it was my first real vlog that kind of went viral in a
yeah.
sense. I only had about 100,000 views, but I was walking around this supermarket, and as I'm walking around, I see this guy just like walking like down the aisles with me, and he's staring at me. He keeps staring at me, and I think, oh my God, what's going to happen? And
Yeah.
he's walking up to me, and I think I'm about to get like mugged or something. And he goes, "Are you the guy from Alderney?" I was like, "Oh my God, yes, hello there."
Cool. Excellent.
So it is nice to be recognised, but also a bit scary
Yeah.
sometimes. You must be recognised all the time. I mean, people, a lot of people will see you and they go, "Bruno's here." How does that feel?
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. Well, right now it's nice because they're probably
Hopefully, they'll start recognising me in Guernsey a bit more because I'm putting posters up and there's a container drive moving around saying "Vote Bruno." So hopefully they'll put two and two together.
absolutely. Well, I don't know if your future hecklers are going to be positive or negative, but we'd find out. And obviously the election's coming up very soon. And are you excited? Are you excited for the decision? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to get this dry docking for the Trinity out of the way first, which hopefully will be beginning of next week, middle of next week.
Tell me about this then, because so you literally had to repaint the Trinity, right?
It's basically a 5-yearly annual special survey. So she's out of the water. She's in a dry dock. We've
Wow.
pressure cleaned her with what they call a UHP, which is ultra high pressure cleaner, which is taking it back to bare metal. Given her two coats of primer. Now she's having a top coat. There was talk of painting it pink. We decided not to paint her pink. And then we were going to paint her pale blue, and the paint supplier supplied the wrong paint, but we're still going with pale blue. The paint
Oh,
supplier is going to
mate,
supply the right paint.
you have so many things on the go right now, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, but it's all in order.
Yeah.
So we get this sorted out in the next week or so. Then it's 5 years to the next one. The political thing is only for 4 years. We're renovating our house in Guernsey, which will be finished in the next month or 2 months. So then I'll have loads of spare time.
Wow. And then you'll be just as busy as you were before. You'll definitely find something, whether it's
Hopefully, it's going to be politics.
well, I really do hope so. I mean, people would be nuts if they didn't vote for someone like you because, I always say that if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And you're the type of person that just rolls up your sleeves and like you said earlier, if your job can be done today, do it today. And I think people need to realize that you need to vote for the people who are doers.
Hopefully.
There's a lot of people who are not doers as well, and I always feel like doers can't be controlled. Like if you're a doer, you're too busy to have someone come up to you and say, someone said this about you or something. I don't care.
Yeah.
I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
So I really do. I wish you all the best in this upcoming election, and I know that your phone has been going absolutely mental. I'm worried that like something dramatic's happening right now.
Don't worry.
You sure?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're about to find out afterwards.
Yeah.
Bruno, is there anything else that you want to talk about? And obviously, feel free to.
Well, thanks for taking the time to do this. Appreciate it.
Well, no, thank you for coming in. And if there's any time that you want to come and do this again, I'd like to do this on all the Channel Islands as well. So if you've got any interesting people in Guernsey, Jersey, I'm sure you do. Or maybe get me on a British Airway flight. How's that?
We'll speak to Captain Ballard.
Bruno Kay-Mouat, thank you so much for coming in.
Cheers, Cam. Thank you.